All right, today we're going to dive into one of the great American novels, F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. Now, this is a story that absolutely glitters on the surface. You've got the roaring 20s, these crazy extravagant parties, just endless money, and these impossible dreams. But right underneath all that shimmer, there's a really dark and tragic story. And to get it, we've got to start with the guy who saw it all unfold.
So, we're seeing this whole world through the eyes of our narrator, Nick Carraway. And he opens the book with this piece of advice from his dad, which basically sets him up as this objective observer, someone who tries not to judge people. And it's this quality, this willingness to just listen, that gets him a front row seat to the most exclusive and, well, the most secretive corners of this high-flying society.
And that's the real question, isn't it? I mean, Nick wants to just stand on the sidelines and watch, but he gets completely sucked into this whirlwind of passion and obsession and just utter carelessness. And in the end, he's basically forced to make a judgment. This is the story of how that all went down.
Okay, so our story kicks off in the summer of 1922. We're on Long Island, on these two little peninsulas that are known as the Eggs. Geographically, they look almost identical, but believe me, in every other way, they are worlds apart. This is kind of the battleground where the whole story is about to play out.
And here is the fundamental difference. You've got East Egg, which is the super fashionable, established, old money aristocracy. These are the people whose families have been rich forever. And then you have West Egg. This is the new money crowd. Their wealth is, well, it's spectacular, but it's also seen as a little gaudy, a little unrefined. And this is where Nick rents his little house, right next door to our title character.
So to get a feel for East Egg, you've really got to meet Tom Buchanan. He's married to Nick's cousin, Daisy. And this description of him, wow. It's not just about him being a big, strong guy. It's telling you everything you need to know about his character. Tom is the brute force of that old money world. He's powerful, he's dominant, and as Fitzgerald writes, he is ultimately cruel. This is a man who is used to taking whatever he wants.
Now let's look across the bay. Living just opposite the Buchanans is Nick's neighbor. He's a man nobody really knows, but his name is on everybody's lips, a Mr. Gatsby. His mansion is the site of these absolutely epic parties, every single weekend. But the man himself, a total enigma.
I mean, just listen to how Nick describes these parties. They almost sound magical. People aren't just invited, they're drawn in, like moths to a flame. They're just floating through this dreamscape of champagne and stars. You've got hundreds of people showing up, having the time of their lives, and the host, Gatsby, he's nowhere to be found.
So, when people don't have facts, what do? They make stuff up. A whole mythology just springs up around this guy. Is he a killer? A war hero? A spy? The rumors are just all over the place. The only thing they can kind of agree on is that he must have gotten his money from somewhere shady or fantastic. He's become a legend in his own living room.
But then, Nick actually meets the guy. And he doesn't find some sinister criminal. He finds a man with this incredible smile. A smile that, as Nick says, understands you, believes in you, and makes you feel like the best version of yourself. And this is our first real clue that the real Gatsby is way more complicated and maybe way more vulnerable than any other rumors.
So why? Why go through all of this? The parties, the giant mansion, all the mystery. Well, it turns out that this entire spectacular performance, this whole universe he's built, is for a single purpose. It's all for an audience of one.
See, it all goes back to a love story from 5 years before. Gatsby was a young, penniless officer who fell hard for Daisy, a girl from a world of wealth he couldn't even imagine. He goes off to war, she promises to wait, but, well, she doesn't. She marries the incredibly rich Tom Buchanan. So Gatsby makes it his life's mission to get rich enough to win her back. The mansion, the parties, it's all just a giant beacon, a signal flare aimed right at her house across the water.
And after all that, after building a financial empire, what's his grand mastermind plan? You won't believe how simple it is. It's almost heartbreaking. He wants his neighbor Nick, who just so happens to be Daisy's cousin, to invite her over for tea so he can just happen to drop by. That's it. All this incredible spectacle is just the backdrop for a supposedly casual reunion.
And you know what? The plan works. Gatsby and Daisy start up an affair. But a dream like this, it can't survive in the real world forever. Eventually, it has to face the harsh light of day. And for this group, that all comes to a head on a brutally hot, tense afternoon at the Plaza Hotel in New York.
And in that hotel room, the tension just explodes.
Tom, who's been doing some digging, goes on the attack. He starts tearing down this whole Oxford man persona Gatsby's built, revealing that his money really comes from bootlegging.
But Gatsby fires right back, and he makes his one ultimate demand. It's not enough for Daisy to love him now. She has to completely erase the past. She has to tell Tom that she never loved him. For Gatsby's dream to come true, the last 5 years have to have never happened.
And right there, the dream completely shatters. Daisy just can't do it. She can't rewrite her own life to fit into his perfect fantasy. The second she admits she did love Tom, even for a little while, Gatsby's whole illusion it breaks. The past can't be repeated, and his dream collapses.
The fallout is immediate, and it is catastrophic. On the incredibly tense drive home from the city, a distraught Daisy is behind the wheel of Gatsby's car. Tom's mistress, Myrtle, runs out into the road, and Daisy hits and kills her. And in a moment of pure panic, she just keeps driving.
So yeah, the glittering party is officially over. What's left is just the sober, tragic aftermath, where the messes made by the very rich are left for other people to clean up.
In one last tragic act of devotion, Gatsby says he'll take the fall for Daisy. But Tom Buchanan, he has one last cruel move to make. He tells Myrtle's heartbroken husband that Gatsby was the one driving the car. And so Wilson, believing Gatsby was both his wife's lover and her killer, goes to the mansion, shoots Gatsby while he's in his pool, and then kills himself.
So, after all summer, after hundreds and hundreds of people came to his house, drank his champagne, and partied in his garden, guess how many of them show up for his funeral? One. Just one person. All those friends just vanish, and it reveals the absolute, profound emptiness of the world he was trying so desperately to join.
And this is where Nick, our guy who started out reserving all judgments, finally delivers his verdict. And wow, is it a damning one. He sees Tom and Daisy for exactly what they are, totally protected by their money. They smash up lives, and then they just retreat back into their wealth and let other people, like Gatsby, pay the ultimate price.
The novel ends with this unforgettable line. And it's this haunting reflection not just on Gatsby's dream, but on all of our dreams. It kind of makes you wonder, right? Are we all a little bit like Gatsby, just constantly rowing towards some future green light, only to find ourselves being pulled right back into a past that we can't escape, but we can never repeat? It's a question that keeps this story so powerful, even today.